Alright YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. I wanted to make a video today talking about gear, specifically rifles, because the last couple videos that I've been doing have been more focused on mindset and mentality. But whenever we are discussing gear, if it's going to be something that is going to make you better and help enhance your performance, and I mean that genuinely, like genuinely enhance your performance and not hinder you, then I think that that's something worth talking about. So today in front of me I have two rifles, and I want to do a comparison between the two and ultimately give you guys my opinion on if I could only have one, which one I would buy first. So I have a Daniel Defense DDM4V7 in front of me. This is the non-ambidextrous version that Daniel Defense has been selling for years. Just recently they came out with a fully ambidextrous version, which I don't have, but we'll talk about that a little bit going forward. And then I also have this Geissele URGI build as well that I had built for me by a friend, and it's just a really sweet rifle in general, but we'll get to that in the second part of the video. So neither Daniel Defense nor Geissele really needs any introduction, but if I were to just quickly talk about both of these companies in general, these guys exist within the mid to higher end tier in terms of quality and price. Now there are a ton of AR manufacturers out there that exist, everyone from the likes of PSA all the way up through Knights Armament and LMT, and then so on and so forth, right? Geissele and Daniel Defense, in my opinion, exist somewhere like in the middle to higher tier range, because at the end of the day, both of these companies have very strong reputations, both with the military and in the civilian world, for just being really good products and having a lot of street cred when it comes to duty use and professional use, or just simple hobby use, right? But starting off with the Daniel Defense M4V7, this rifle is completely stock except for the trigger in here that is from Geissele. I replaced it with a single stage Geissele trigger, kind of similar to the duty triggers that you'll find in most standard issue M4s that they give to the military. And it just has a lighter trigger pull than a standard mil-spec trigger. Additionally, the gas rings inside of the bolt carrier group have been swapped out because the original ones that came with the rifle when I first bought it eventually wore out after about 1,000 rounds or so, and the bolt carrier group failed the tolerance test, and I decided to replace those before I started having any sorts of reliability issues or malfunctions. But aside from that, aside from the gas rings and the trigger, this weapon is completely stock. And I would say that, the fact that there is a Geissele trigger in this does give you guys some hint as to what weapon I prefer between these two. Daniel Defense has this really annoying habit of still only including your standard mil-spec triggers in their guns, and for what you're paying for these rifles, I would say that they need to be giving you something better, and you're going to have to spend a little bit extra money if you want a better trigger to get it yourself and then throw it in here. But as far as the DDM4V7 is concerned, this is Daniel Defense's flagship model. It is their most popular rifle, and it is the one that they are, I would say, selling the most of and probably most well known for. Daniel Defense is, again, very popular among the firearms community because they have a history of contracts with the U.S. military providing barrels and rails to SOCOM with the Block 2 program and stuff like that. And it's just, when you get a Daniel Defense, you kind of know what you're getting into. You're getting a rifle with a very solid cold hammer forged barrel that is extremely accurate and will be very long lasting over the life cycle of the weapon. This weapon is extremely accurate as far as I'm concerned. I can only shoot at 25 yards inside my range, which is really not a lot when you're talking about distance. But at 25 yards, if I'm shooting this, I can stack 5.56 rounds on top of each other inside of a 1 MOA square, which a weapon of this quality should be doing. So I would say that it's meeting expectations in terms of its accuracy. As far as its reliability is concerned, I haven't had any malfunctions with this at all. One, because this weapon is just very well made, and two, because, you know, again, I replaced the gas rings on this. Prior to actually experiencing any sorts of malfunctions, and that's just a thing that you should be doing in general when it comes to proper gun care. You should be swapping out parts and replacing things that need replacement prior to you actually experiencing any sort of malfunctions or damage to your weapon on the range, because then it's just a huge headache after that. But aside from that, again, this weapon is completely stock. I threw an aimpoint T2 on here and a Streamlight ProTac 2, and those are really the only attachments that this weapon has, aside from the Magpul sling, obviously. But everything else on this weapon is pretty stock, and I'm comfortable running this as is. 16-inch barrel, again, cold hammer forged, phosphate coated bolt carrier group, which has smoothed out over time and cycles fine. Again, Geissele trigger in here, which I swapped in there, and that runs well. I certainly like it a lot more than the mil-spec trigger that it came with, even though there was nothing really wrong with it. This Geissele trigger in here, that's single stage, just works a lot better, and it still gives me the same general feeling as it would on any service weapon that might be placed into my hands. It's just a good, reliable AR-15, and I think it's generally worth the money. But the Geissele URGI build that I have here stands apart. Actually, before I get to this, I'll speak a little bit more on the DD. The DD has an MFR rail, which is extremely sturdy because of the way that it's mounted to the upper receiver. As you can see, it has these screws on the sides of the rail that mount directly to the upper, and it gives it this really sturdy, rock-solid feeling. If you want to see durability testing on it, go check out James Reeves' review of this weapon. This rifle runs. It runs super well, and I have no complaints about it. Now, onto the Geissele. The Geissele URGI build that you see here is built on a Super Duty lower. It has either an SD3 trigger or an SDC or an SDE trigger in here. I have no idea what trigger's in here. I just know that it's two-stage and it runs super nice. So if we ghost this trigger real quick, you can see there's a decent amount of take up, a very crisp break, and then really nice reset, really positive reset. Super nice gun, super nice trigger. Geissele H2 buffer in here, Magpul STR stock, enhanced Geissele Maritime bolt catch, super nice, super easy to interface with. Not ambi at all, except for the safety, which is standard Geissele stuff. And that's the lower. The upper is not the clone correct URGI, it is the near clone upper that Geissele sells on its website. The clone correct upper receiver group that was contracted out to the US military is a Colt upper receiver with a Daniel Defense barrel and a Daniel Defense gas block with the Geissele rail attached. So that's the actual URGI that SOCOM runs. But this is all Geissele made. This is all Geissele manufactured. There's a Geissele cold hammer forged barrel in here, and the upper receiver is Geissele as well as the bolt carrier group inside. The difference between, one key difference rather, between the DDM4V7 and the Geissele URGI build that I have here is that this URGI has a bolt carrier group that is coated with Geissele's proprietary nanoweapon DLC coating. I can't tell you the specific science behind that, but what I can say is that it cycles a lot smoother and runs a lot smoother than a standard phosphate coated bolt carrier group that you might find in any sort of Daniel Defense rifle. And I think that is something to note because these rifles are about the same price when you put them together, but you're getting slightly higher quality parts out of the box when you get a Geissele like this, right? You're getting a better trigger out of the box because it's not mil-spec. You're getting a better bolt carrier group. You're getting the same quality barrel that is cold hammer forged, and it's going to be very long lasting and extremely accurate. And then the rail interface system that Geissele uses is equally as durable and reliable in my opinion, and the anti-rotation features that they have on the rail are just going to be a lot, or they're going to be equally as effective as what Daniel Defense has on its own rifles. So you're really not sacrificing anything when you choose a Geissele over a Daniel Defense. But I would say that if you are going to choose a Daniel over a Geissele, then you should be prepared to probably need to spend a little bit extra money on aftermarket parts in order to get a Daniel up to the level that a Geissele is already performing at. You're going to have to swap out the trigger. You're probably going to want to, if you care about the smoothness of your bolt carrier group, which isn't a huge deal, but if you care about that, you're probably going to want to swap out the bolt carrier group at some point. Something that I should note as well with the Daniel Defense is that the wear patterns between the phosphate coating and the DLC coating on the Geissele are noticeable. So pulling out this bolt carrier group on this Daniel Defense real quick, you can see that the wear patterns are a little bit more prominent and noticeable than you might otherwise see on the nanoweapon coated carrier group and the Geissele. The Geissele bolt carrier group has almost no wear inside of it. It has a very similar round count to it, but that bolt carrier group has been a lot more long lasting so far, and it has shown a lot less wear to it, which I think is something that you should take into consideration. If you're going to be spending this kind of money on these rifles, then longevity of parts should be something to consider as well. Aside from that, really, at the end of the day, if we are comparing Daniel Defense versus Geissele, both of these are solid options. Both of these are extremely durable, they're extremely reliable, and they are extremely accurate. These guns can outshoot me. I am not the most accurate shooter in the world. These guns are just, I need to catch up to them. They don't need to catch up to me, is what I'm saying. But if we're going to compare things, right, between these two rifles, if I could only have one, then I would probably go for the Geissele URGI, because I trust that this is going to last just a bit longer. It's going to run for just a bit longer, and the quality of the parts is just a bit better on this. So again, you really can't go wrong with either of these rifles, but if you want something really freaking good out of the box straight away that you really don't have to do much to aside from adding attachments onto it, then I think the Geissele URGI is the way to go. With that being said, if you guys own either of these rifles, I definitely want to hear your comments down below. I want to hear what you think. If you are considering buying one of these, I hope this has given you some sort of clarity as to which direction you should go in. And yeah, I look forward to talking to you guys down in the comments below. Thanks for watching and take care.